All right, so this is day one of the first video in the YouTube challenge, 12 Days of Yule. For those of you who don't know, this is a challenge that I saw issued by Ivy the Occultist. So if you don't know who she is, you should definitely check out her channel. So let's get into it. All right, so the first video in this challenge is supposed to share a winter solstice ritual or tradition. So I'm going to share the practice that I've developed for myself to give the holidays meaning. So I want to start this off by saying that I don't necessarily celebrate Yule. And even for the longest time, I held no celebration during this time of year. I just went with the flow, bought gifts for friends, family, the usual. However, this changed for me when I became a father myself, and I wanted the holidays to have a meaning behind it for me personally. So I've worked on this for the past few years, and I'm going to share what I have done with y'all today. I do like the idea of taking already established traditions, such as Christmas, and giving them a meaning that is personal to me and my beliefs, and even building upon them. Besides, that's how we got the holidays we know of today. They built it from previous traditions. So let me explain some of my personal practices. We all know that the sun travels through the 12 zodiac signs throughout the year, and we know that there are 12 Olympian gods and goddesses. So although the center of my religious practices do revolve around specific deities, I acknowledge each of the Olympian gods during specific times of the year. Also, since Hestia is first in all religious ceremonies, I choose to abide by the idea that Dionysus has a seat on Olympus. Now, within my personal temple setup, I have a small altar up to the god or goddess whose sign the sun is currently in. And on December 22nd, roundabout, the sun enters into the sign of Capricorn, which I have attributed to the god Dionysus. And if you continue watching the videos within this series, you'll see an image of my altar this holiday season. So when I started looking to build my tradition for this time of year, I had already established what I call the zodiacal months, and even already placed Dionysus at the sign of Capricorn. The first thing I took notice of was the correspondences of the pine tree. The pine tree alone holds meaning and symbolism for Dionysus. The Thrisis wand is sacred to Dionysus and is often seen topped with a pine cone. That, with the fact that I do enjoy the scent of pine, we get real trees every year for the holiday. And when the season is over, when everyone else is throwing their trees to the curb to be picked up, I take mine into the back and I break it apart. I use parts of the tree to grind up the wood for use in incense, and I'll cut it up to use in ritual fires. There are a lot of people who have in the past drawn comparisons between Dionysus and the Christian Jesus. However, I did not want to build my tradition by making attempts at this, no matter how easy some of the comparisons may be. Now, the winter solstice at this time of year marks the time that the sun reaches its lowest point and appears to remain there for 3 days before it begins its return, which falls on December 25th. Now, we don't think of these things too much in our modern times. However, these were highly important in ages past, and this symbolizes the rebirth of the sun. So I'm drawing the parallel of the winter solstice to the myths of Dionysus, particularly the Orphic tradition, where Dionysus was first born as Zagreus and was the son of Zeus and Persephone. Now, Zeus was so pleased with his son that he placed him upon his throne, gave him his thunderbolts, and declared him his successor. Hera, being enraged, went to the Titans. The Titans, being urged on by Hera, smeared their faces with gypsum, and with 7 toys lured the young Dionysus from the throne, getting him to set down the thunderbolts, which left him unprotected. The Titans then seized the young god and prepared him as a sacrifice, cutting him into pieces. The Titans, however, did carefully preserve the heart of Dionysus. Now the Titans, having roasted the young god's flesh, each ate a portion. Zeus smelt the burning flesh of Zagreus and sent the goddess Athena to rescue his still beating heart. Zeus, in his rage, struck down the Titans with a thunderbolt, and from their ashes he formed the races of mortals. From the Titans, mankind inherited the cycle of life and death, but with the immortal soul from the essence of Zagreus. Zeus created a potion from the beating heart of Zagreus, which he then gave to Semele, who then became pregnant with Dionysus. Zeus, having fallen in love with Semele, swore upon the river Styx to grant her any request. Hera, having discovered this, visited Semele and convinced her to request that Zeus show himself in his true form. Semele, having requested this of Zeus, who was unable to deny the request, appeared with all of his lightning and thunder. Semele was consumed by his divine fire, but the unborn Dionysus lay protected by wreaths of ivy. Zeus then rescued the unborn god and sewn him into his own thigh until he was ready to be born, as Eleftheres, or the liberator, to teach the mysteries to mankind. So, for myself and my personal tradition, I linked the 3 births of Dionysus to the sun. The first day of the sun being in the sign of Capricorn marks the birth of Zagreus. The second, his birth from Semele. And the third, when the sun begins its return, his final birth from Zeus as Eleftheres, or the liberator. This is the reason that we share gifts with each other on the morning of December 25th. So that's going to be the end of this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for tomorrow where I will share pictures of my altar for this year. You can also head over to echoesfromthetemple.com where you'll find links to the merch shop and the Echoes from the Temple Android app. So other than that, may the gods bless you, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.